Greetings, music lovers. I'm Ace, and you're tuned in to For the Rotation, the podcast where DJ stories become the soundtrack to your success. In each episode, we'll embark on a journey through DJ stories that transcend music, weaving through the highs, the lows, and the transformative power of resilience. Join me as we explore the rhythm of accomplishment, turning obstacles into opportunities as we learn how my guests did it all for the rotation. Welcome back to For the Rotation. I'm Ace. Super excited for this next guest. Got a chance to work with her about a little bit over a year ago, and after watching her perform, I had to have her on the show, and it's been a process to get her on here. Please welcome WeirdoWithSoul.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Let's just dive right into it. I mean, there's so much to learn about you and your career and how you've gotten to where you are. Mm-hmm. But let's just start off with, how did you fall in love with music?
Okay, so my love for music goes back to childhood. My mother is from Chicago.
Okay.
My dad is from North Carolina. I grew up in North Carolina, but my mother being from Chicago, I was introduced to different variations of house music very early.
Okay.
I'm actually known for playing different variations of house music now, and I would say that, if you know, you know, house music originated in Chicago. And so having a mother who introduced that type of music into the household, as a dance genre, I was drawn to it. I actually regretted not learning how to play an instrument. When I was younger, my brother he learned how to play the drums, and now that I'm an adult, it's crazy because my favorite music genres are differentiated based off of the drums, and yet I don't know how to play the drums. And as a turntablist, I feel like drumming is it's almost a different, turntablism is almost like a different variation of drumming. And so that's, but yeah, my parents they are lovers of music, and anytime I was around them, anytime I was in the car, anytime we were at family events, there would be music played. This is the first way that I was introduced to music. And it's just so interesting because all of the genres of music that I play, there's different time periods of my life that I can recall being exposed to it. You have different DJs who have a niche. I play a multitude of different types of music, and I feel like it stems from all the different places that I was exposed to these genres. If that answers your question.
It does. So that's amazing. You had parents that nurtured your love for music, and and I love how you recall, like, as you play music, you can remember when you were exposed to that specific genre, right, while you're playing that music. So let's move forward to, like, the point where, like, when did the fascination of becoming a DJ start for you? And, like, did you, like you already shared that you never played an instrument.
I never played an instrument. I actually I hate to have regrets, but I wish that I had learned to play the piano. I wish I learned to play the guitar, and I wish I learned how to play the drums. Okay. But I didn't. And so I can't play those instruments, but what I can play is the turntable.
There you go.
To me, that's an instrument.
Yes, you can.
All right. So how did I get into DJing? My background is working behind the scenes in music.
Okay.
I worked in music PR for many years. I made a transition into artist management, and during, I want to say around 2017, 2018, during the time period in which I was doing artist management, and I was working at a music label at the time. Yeah. So my brother, he introduced me. Well, he invited me to go out one night. One of his coworkers was DJing.
Okay.
And this was the night where it hit me. It's like, okay, this is what I need to be doing, but not having any fundamental understanding about it. I was just like, okay, I see what he's doing, I hear what he's doing, and I'm fascinated by it. And this was my brother's coworker. And after the event, my brother went to introduce me to this DJ, and it just so happens that my brother's coworker, who was the DJ, his dad was there. And his dad is one of the co-founders of the Beat Junkies. Yes.
Okay.
The Beat Junkies, world-renowned DJ crew, based in LA, but they also have a DJ school by the name of the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound.
Okay.
And so I felt like that was a bit synchronistic.
Of course.
For me to be at this event where the epiphany hit me, okay, this is something I think I would be interested in. I had already expressed interest in it, and that's why my brother had invited me to see, his friend DJ. And just the synchronicity of the DJ that I had interest, his dad being the owner of a DJ school, I was like, all right, let me get some more information. And so the next day I got invited to the school, the Beat Junkies, to just check it out and find out more information about it. And I was sold. I had this, it's one thing to work behind the scenes in music, but to work behind the scenes in music and also be a music lover at the same time, it's kind of like you need some kind of sign or some kind of push to like actually push you to do to do something that is not behind the scenes. So going to the school, going to visit, and just getting more understanding about what I will be learning, just seeing how their curriculum and understanding like the process of just learning how to DJ, how to turntablism, the art of turntablism.
Right.
So I enrolled in the Beat Junkies. I enrolled that day, and that was in 2018. That was in 2018, and I enrolled in their 8-week course, and then that was just like an intro. But then they had so they have the 2 courses, the foundation and the structure, and these are 9-month each courses. And during that next 9 months, I learned how to DJ, and during that time started utilizing social media to post my process.
Okay.
And so during that 9 months, I started posting my process. I was not good when I started. Things come difficult to me. I've always had to put forth a little bit more energy or effort to make things to just meet the standard, which is fine, So yeah, the first 3 months was a little tough. It was a little challenging, just learning the basics of turntablism on vinyl.
Okay.
We live in a digital world, and you don't see as many people DJing on turntables. So yeah, the first 3 months was a bit difficult, but I started posting as I progressed month by month. I started posting scratch videos. Okay. On Instagram. These scratch videos people started noticing. And a couple of DJs, a couple of friends that are DJs, they're just like, okay, we see you. Okay. Like we see the progress from month to month. We can hear the progress.
Yes.
And I had a DJ friend who he is a club DJ. He DJs at clubs around Los Angeles. And I think it was around month 6 that he reached out to me and was like, okay, somebody has to break the ice for you. That's going to be me. I'm going to book you to DJ at my club tonight. And I was mortified. But I was up for the challenge. This is month 6, okay? I had learned the basic scratches, and I think by this time they had taught us how to mix, which learning how to mix on vinyl trains your ears
Yeah.
in a way that learning how to mix on digital controllers does not.
Right.
And using your computer. There's no better way to do it. It's a different way, the old school way.
Yeah.
And so
The fundamental way,
the
right?
fundamental way. Yes, yes. It is. This is just the process at which they teach, not you don't necessarily have to learn on digital, but they teach you turntablism. That's a part of their curriculum. And so I did not realize that, okay, once you learn how to mix two records without your computer, without digital controllers or CDJs, once you learn how to just mix two, then you've already trained your ear to where when you do have this additional technology, mixing will be easier for you.
Right.
And so my friend at month 6, he booked me to DJ at this club, and he kind of became a mentor to me.
Okay.
And yeah, I started just DJing a little bit here and there while continuing the program. I graduated from that program 3 months later, knowing how to fully DJ. And I want to say December, January, February, March. 4 months later is when the pandemic happened.
Okay.
So I had just finished the program. I was just starting to garner confidence, putting myself out there more with, this seasoned DJ who was in my corner and, trying to help me progress. And the pandemic hit and everything halts.
Right.
Now, when the pandemic hit, what did we have an exponential amount of? Time.
Yes, absolutely.
We had an exponential amount of time, and I utilized this time to hone my craft.
Beautiful.
I honed my craft during the pandemic.
Describe that process to me.
Okay, so I was in Los Angeles during this time, and it was about 4 months where everything was completely just shut down. That first 4 months, 4 or 5 months, this was still, so the majority of 2020, that entire time, LA was just shut down, and I had purchased one used turntable and a very old mixer, and I got to work. Okay, I still continue to post scratch videos, and people, they're just like, okay, we see you again, but we see the version of you that is like ready to take on gigs, and people had asked, are you available to do this?
Yeah.
So yes, during the pandemic, 2020, a couple months after I graduated from that program, I honed my craft that entire time. I practiced what I learned so it would continue to be fresh in my mind. And during that year, I guess before there was a part of that year where certain things were still open,
right? And
I joined the advanced program during that time.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm continuing to hone my craft, post the scratch videos for visibility, and then I joined the Beat Junkies structure program, which is their advanced program.
Okay.
The first program just teaches you the basics of learning how to DJ. This teaches you more advanced scratches, trick mixing, beat juggling. Just if you've ever seen DJ competitions, all that, they're doing all these things, and they taught us how to do these things. Okay, that's what the advanced program. It pretty much teaches you. It gives you. To me, I feel like the advanced program trained my muscle memory.
Okay.
I already got my ear trained the first program. This program, it taught you things to where when you're DJing, it gives you more versatility. When you're mixing, when you're just however you choose to mix from one song into the next, you have a multitude of different ways to do that from all of the different things that they teach you in this advanced program.
Okay.
And also, it just continued to help me build my confidence. Now, during this program, it got halted because of the pandemic. I think maybe, I can't remember. So that was such an odd year, but the pandemic happened. Everything halted.
Yeah.
At some point, things opened up, I guess they tried there because there was different waves of of COVID during that time, and so that program got halted. And again, we had time, so I the little bit that I learned, I continued to practice. So the entirety of 2020 was just like practice. Oh, I had all these fundamental skills, and I practiced and would post content, and then 2021. Fast forward to 2021.
Okay.
I want to say around the summer of 2021 is when LA started to open up.
Okay.
And so this is about a year of people seeing me post the scratch videos. They already had, there's an idea that, she's got the fundamental skill. She's doing the scratch stuff that, it's people, not everybody does this, Scratching is a bit of a dying art. Turntablism is a bit of a dying art. And so the people that do it and utilize that in their DJ style, they kind of stand out.
You're right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So summer of 2021, the calls started coming in.
That's beautiful.
And they haven't stopped.
That's a really great answer. And I love that story. And it really shows like what steps you took to actually now become who you are. Yeah. And but I'm also curious, like, okay, so you shared with me that you were working in the back end of music, right? Now, was this also in Chicago?
Okay, yes. Okay, so all right. So I grew up in North Carolina. I went to college in Chicago.
Okay.
So my mother is from Chicago, but I also went to college in Chicago.
Okay.
And that is where I started working in music. That's how I started my career. I started my career in music PR. I actually went to school for journalism.
Okay.
I also love writing as well. Okay. I went to school for journalism, and one semester I waited too late to sign up for my journalism courses. And my parents let me add PR as my minor. And that semester, I found a PR internship. I ended up getting a PR internship, and it was in music.
Amazing.
And that just, I continued to just like that internship became my career. And so I worked in music PR in Chicago. And then I want to say about a year later, I graduated. And then a year later, I moved to LA, and I continued to work in music PR, public relations. And
So was this leap to LA that you're sharing, was it did you already know that you wanted to start DJing at that time, or was it just kind of, no?
No, like this is every day. I'm just like, this was not in the plan.
Okay.
It wasn't in the plan.
How do you describe that? Like, I mean, it's not normal for everybody to like kind of, or anybody to actually kind of like manifest something so quickly. But at the same time, it's like, how would you describe that, like that experience for yourself? Like, how did you do that? Like, how did that happen for you? Can you have you ever thought about it? Like
transitioning from,
or just, being in the right place at the right time, finding the right people to help you get to where you are. And like there's a message behind all that, right?
Okay.
And there's like, can you describe how like what you did in your life to actually really get to that point?
Okay. All right. That's a great question. So there's a flow. There's a life flow. And I can't really allow, because I feel like the timing in everyone's life flow is just a little different. But for me, I recognized early on, because okay, so typically most of us, we start our lives under the influence of our parents, okay? And we might show interest in things, and hopefully we have supportive parents that will help push us in the direction of what we show interest in.
Okay.
And then once we, get a little bit older, then it's just like, okay, we get a little more freedom, and we get to explore more. And as we explore, we might garner more interest in things that we never knew that we would be interested in.
Right.
That music internship changed the trajectory of my life. Like, I've always had a love for music, but then getting an opportunity to work with artists and like directly who are making the music that I'm like in love with,
Right.
I was just like, okay, that was one layer of getting to, or just that was just one layer of where figuring out or realizing, that was one layer of realizing how much I love music. And then once it became my career, I was just like, okay, you know, when I transitioned to Los Angeles and I continued to work in music PR, I eventually transitioned to artist management, and then I, you know, got a job at a label and everything. In some of these jobs, I worked with DJs. I worked with DJs, but okay, so let's chat about synchronicities. When it comes to, because as I reflect on my life, I realize that a lot of my transitions, just as pertains to music and not as pertains to music, has just, it's been very synchronistic. And I've kind of followed a flow. You know, I put out energy that is linked towards things that make me feel good, things that feed my soul, things that I, you know.
Explain that process. How do you do that? Like, what do you mean by, like, you know, putting out energy?
Okay, so just anything in life, you know, put effort towards things that you like, things that make you feel good, people that you want to spend time around, the people who exude the type of energy that you reciprocate, you want to reciprocate.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope that.
No, that absolutely.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I would say putting forth effort to just exist in a way that's more intentional.
Right.
I feel like that's the best way that I can kind of break it down. When I exude energy towards things that make me feel good, I feel like that's starting the synchronistic process.
Absolutely.
You know, there's just.
Absolutely. It also reminds me of a word, like, which is resilience, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think with the story you shared about you utilizing your time and also pushing forward and not letting the pandemic actually hold you back, right? It really requires resilience. And yeah. So can you describe what resilience means to you, and how do you channel that? Oh
man. Okay. Resilience. Okay. For me, I'm gonna be very honest. My journey was very difficult personally, just because.
Why would you say that?
The pandemic was a very difficult time period for a lot of people, but just some of the basic things that we require for survival, that time period, some people were stripped of these things. And right before the pandemic, I expressed that I had just finished this program, and at the time, you know, I was working at a music label full time, so I was still doing the behind the scenes music thing, and I was DJing on the side.
Okay.
From a spiritual perspective, what I will say to you is that if you have a mind's eye of what you really truly want to be doing, God, the universe, they're gonna reciprocate this by removing the things. If you want to position yourself to attain that which you really want,
yes,
and God, the universe, they feel this energy, and if they're going to reciprocate the opportunity for you,
yes,
they're going to have to remove things. Things are going to have to be removed in order to make room for that which you really want, even if you haven't realized it yet. So here I am working behind the scenes in music, right? DJing on the side. Deep down inside, I hadn't even realized yet that I truly desire to be DJing full time. Aside from what I'm accustomed to doing, you know, I had a 9-to-5, you know, working at labels is a 9-to-5. So I hadn't even realized, or maybe I hadn't even admitted to myself yet that that's what I really wanted to be doing. The universe knew. So it's like, all right, we're going to have to take out some things. And
can you share what you removed?
Absolutely. Okay. So during the pandemic, I went into it with a full-time job at this label, which I absolutely loved. And eventually, they made cuts because of the pandemic time period. They made cuts, and so I lost my job.
Okay.
And because of that, I end up losing my crib, my apartment.
Okay.
And losing my apartment, I kind of almost lost myself. I mean, just some of these things that, we're just accustomed to having, I was kind of stripped of some of these things.
So can I ask you something?
Sure.
So like when these things happened, like what did you do to change and adapt to that situation?
Well, I had no choice but to accept, process.
Okay. Love that.
I had when drastic things in our life happen, we have no choice but to process it. If you stay stuck in it, I mean, whatever emotion comes from these things that happen in life, if you stay stuck in that, then you're just gonna fall deeper. It's gonna make you feel worse. It's the goal is to go up and out of that situation, or not even the situation, but just out of the place that has you feeling all of these negative emotions. And it's like, if it's out of our control, then why are we wasting energy? I mean, as humans, emotional beings, we need to feel everything, the negative, the positive, but it's just like, you don't want to wallow in that. You don't want to just stay in that place, which is where processing what has occurred and accepting. Process and accept. And so, this was a very confusing time period, but I also had my turntable, I had my mixer.
Love that.
Thankfully, I was able to, stay with someone during that time while because everything just stood still during that time. So I stood still, but I had my music, I had my turntable, I had my mixer, which is why I also had time. Because, the situation I got put into.
What's amazing, though, is what I find fascinating is that you were able to turn your mind around, right? Even though this is so difficult. And then you put your energy towards the one thing that you desired most, right? And I understand now, like what you're sharing with me, where it's like things are removed.
But the thing is, I didn't even realize, like when you're in it, when you're living life and you're in it, sometimes you don't even have access to the deeper parts of you.
I see what you're saying.
And by that, I mean, like, I didn't even realize what I really, really wanted. But when all these things, got removed, then it's just like you're left to face reality. And reality is that, okay, if I had an opportunity to actually pursue being a full-time DJ, would I then go back to what was taken from me? When I had the opportunity to sit in that in-between time and ask myself, well, why was this taken from me? And once I realized, okay, now that I don't have this, I can actually pursue this full time. That's awesome. And when LA opened up, the opportunity was there for me to pursue it full time. And that's kind of the direction that the universe took me in when it became available. And so, when I reference synchronicity, like I had to go with the flow of what had been given to me,
right?
The circumstances that I had been put in, and it's very scary. A lot of people are accustomed to comfort, okay, and we want to be comfortable. We want to go into things knowing what the outcome is going to be, but sometimes taking a chance or a risk at going into something not knowing the outcome can reveal something that you didn't even realize.
Sounds like it requires a lot of patience.
It does. Right? It does. I mean, the pandemic time period brought a lot of patience to my life. Lots of patience it took.
So if I can ask you now, so you started DJing, right? And after you started DJing and you started making a name for yourself, right? What was the next thing you started doing after that? Like, was it just, have you only been DJing? Because I believe, like, I believe I've seen you also give lessons as well,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And then that means you actually give back to your craft.
Absolutely. So
how important is that to you?
Okay, so I'll lead into that, how that came to be. So 2021, when LA opened up and those calls started coming in, that first 6 months was insane in the best way.
Okay.
I mean, immediately just back to back to back bookings. That first 6 months, I got, the experience that you need to just feel comfortable doing this. I got it. But also during that time period, because I was booked so frequently, I had the opportunity to showcase my style of DJing. And my style of DJing is turntablism, which which incorporates scratchings.
Yeah.
Just different aspects of turntablism. And it's not every DJs that has that kind of DJ style. And so there's a number of DJs who knew how to DJ, but they didn't know how to scratch. And this was fascinating to a number of people who, then started reaching out to me to learn. They knew how to mix, but they didn't necessarily know how to scratch. And there was a fascination there.
Right.
So I was like, well, I have tables at my house. Come see me and I'll show you.
Wow.
And that's how that started. So I started teaching other DJs how to scratch. And I mean, just basic scratching, some of the advanced scratches that I learned. That was further along in the program. But yeah, so it started with DJs who are interested in my style of DJing, wanting to learn something that they didn't know. And I just was more than happy to show them, because I'm like, okay, this is something that I wouldn't say I've mastered it, but this is something that I've become good at. Because remember the scratch videos, I was a couple of years went into that before I put myself out there and started marketing myself as a DJ. I was practicing making these scratch videos. So people have been seeing me post these scratch videos. So they know, they kind of link me with that. And so when the interest came for some of these DJs, I was just more than happy to show people. I had the means to show them. And then also, the program was a bit expensive. I'm like, you don't have to go spend all the money that I spent to learn the basics of turntablism. I don't mind showing you. Yeah. And the word got around. And so quite a few people started pulling up, wanting to learn the basics of scratching and just incorporate that into their DJ style. And I want to say maybe about a year ago, I got put in touch with a nonprofit by the name of Girls Make Beats.
Cool.
And Girls Make Beats, they teach young girls how to DJ and produce.
Okay.
And they have different courses. I introduced the idea of adding a turntablism curriculum, because that's, learning how to DJ and learning how to mix, the basics of that. That's one thing, but learning turntablism, that's it's a little bit different. It's like a subgenre almost.
I agree, yeah.
And so, this nonprofit created an opportunity for me to teach young girls just how to DJ, the basics of scratching, which is a dying art, as we discussed. And it feels so good to show someone who is interested in learning something that I feel very comfortable with, and watching them in real time start to pick it up. I started.
A great feeling.
It was the best feeling ever. I had people, I had this one guy who came to see me for almost 4 or 5 months, and that was enough time for me to watch him evolve.
Wow.
But yeah, the nonprofit, it was a perfect opportunity for me to kind of continue to teach this skill that I know how to do. It makes me feel like I'm comfortable showing people, and I'm showing people that are interested in learning.
Right.
And I'm a feminist, so yes.
Your story rings a lot of different notes, and one is dedication, commitment, having faith, right? Keeping the drive, finding the brighter side on things that, like, you know, even when it's dark. And I really love that. And one thing I love about what you just shared is that you also give back to your craft, and like and that's huge, because I think that just gives back to you again more, right?
Absolutely.
And
It's a not a fluctuating, but there's a flow. Like I referenced, there's a flow. You know, what you put out there it can be reciprocated back to you. Not that that's like my intention. I just simply love.
I think we should all be doing that.
We should.
Yeah.
We should.
So let me ask you another question, and I'm curious to know, because I mean, you've touched on a lot of things about your career and how you've got to where you're at. What are you excited about now, and what are you working on?
Okay, so last year I made my global DJ introduction.
Okay.
And so last year I started, so I've been DJing in LA since I, you know, left the Beat Junkies. I've DJed all over LA, clubs, private events, weddings, just different variations of events. And I've become very versatile with my style of DJing, the type of music that I like to spin. And yeah, this is the next step for me was, okay, I've been booked for all these different types of things. What about curating my own, you know, coming up with an idea and curating my own? So, and let me tell you, curating your own event and bringing it to fruition and actually getting people to come takes courage. Okay?
Absolutely.
It takes a lot of courage.
Absolutely.
But, you know, as you evolve, this is to me what comes next. Also, just stepping out of my comfort zone of DJing in LA. You know, I started DJing in other states. I started getting bookings in other states.
Yeah.
And December of 2023 is when I got my first global DJ booking.
Wow.
And
congratulations.
This was in Bali, Indonesia. And yeah, so, and then from there, just the opportunities, you know, sometimes once you get exposed to something, then it'll just create a plethora of opportunities that you didn't even realize. And so, you know, stepping out of the box of what I was accustomed to also created opportunities for me to kind of expand as a DJ. Because I'm somebody who, I don't want to say I get bored easily, because I could never get bored of this, but I'm somebody who will push the boundaries of my comfort.
That's good. That means you want to evolve.
Absolutely.
And so, like, let me ask you something, and I think this is something to inspire everyone. And I would love to know this, right? So, throughout your journey and the things you've learned, right? If there was a younger person of yourself, or what would you tell your younger self, right, on how to push through and get to where you are today?
I would say keep going. Keep going no matter what, because the process it's going to be a fluctuating process.
Okay.
There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. I mean, I started to evolve from a rock bottom place. Like when I first started DJing, you know, losing everything and then just giving in to whatever came out of that, you know, you have to kind of surrender to possibility. It's surrender to just the potentialities based off of your passion, based on your desire to want to grow, want to evolve, and whatever it is that you love.
Yeah.
For me, I literally became obsessed with this. I literally became obsessed with DJing. And through the fluctuations of struggles, of just time periods of not knowing, periods of just the ups and downs of this lifestyle.
Yeah.
The people, you know, you have people who are in your corner, who are on your side, but the people who just simply told me, just keep going, keep going, keep going. I know it sounds so basic. I know it sounds just very just like, oh, just keep going. But no, seriously, when times get tough, telling yourself that it literally might sound crazy, but it's just like by any means, you have to kind of weather the storm until you get through that. And then it's just like, then it's revealed, okay, this is why I'm doing it.
Keep going.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know it sounds very just like mundane, but
that's amazing advice. And like, I can relate to that. And your story really transpires exactly what you just shared, which is keep going. And like, that's something for everybody to actually take from this conversation. And I feel like, you know, if you did not keep going, you wouldn't be sitting right in here in front of me.
For sure. For sure. There have been challenges. Let me tell you, there have been challenges. Like it's being because I have transitioned to being a full-time DJ. I've been a full-time DJ for a couple of years now. And this has transformed my whole life. You know, when I went to college, I got a 9 to 5, I did all this, and I used to work in corporate, and I was used to a certain type of structure.
Yeah.
And the pandemic happened, and I literally had to start over. And I started over in a different direction. And, you know, so it's just life brings challenges and struggles. And when I reference, you know, keep going, if you can find the willpower to push through those times, keep going, what will be revealed to you on the other end of those struggles is opportunity, is the resilience that you didn't even realize you had, like just the opportunity to work for nonprofits and teach little girls who are just so happy to see you and learn what you are ready to teach them. Just, you know, the opportunity to travel across the world and play music that I love for people and get paid for it. Okay, just
beautiful.
Yes,
that's beautiful. And you know what? If you can, I would love for you to share how people can find you. People
can find me. So my DJ name is WeirdoWithSoul.
Okay.
And I am on all social media platforms as WeirdoWithSoul.
Okay.
Yes. Weirdo. Let me just give you a little background on...
Sure, hit me with the weirdo part. Why?
What my name means.
Yes.
WeirdoWithSoul. So there's different contexts that the word weirdo can take, all right? We have the negative context. Mm-hmm. So you're weird. You're being a weirdo. Yeah. But it also can reference being different, being unique, standing out in your own light, in your own space, okay? So I choose to take the context of being different, being unique, and with soul.
I love that.
A person with depth, someone who is not surface level. So a unique person with depth, a weirdo with soul.
That's beautiful.
You could be a weirdo with soul.
Check her out, please. What an amazing human being, and also I love all the information you've shared with me, and so much inspiration behind everything. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your story. Yeah. It's so inspiring, and I know many people are going to walk away with like information they can take away and apply to their own lives. So thank you.
Amazing.
All right. Till next time. Thank you for tuning into For the Rotation. If you found inspiration in today's episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Please visit fortherotation.com to view more episodes and support our podcast by purchasing some cool merch. You can also find us on all social media channels at For the Rotation to engage with our community of dream chasers. Until next week, keep the inspiration flowing and your dream alive, and return to learn how we do it all for the rotation.